Welcome to Bringing Magic Down to Earth, where we talk about making spiritual gifts feel attainable. I'm Kate Hood, and today I'm talking to Courtney Levins. Courtney is a spiritual advisor, an angelic communicator, and a business mentor. Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate. I love supporting the spiritual community, and I really like your topic of bringing magic down to earth where it's attainable because so many times we think, okay, well, yeah, I'm still a mom and I'm still, I've got to go to work and get the kids fed and do all this. And that's here, right here in our front focus. So we can so many times think that angels are there for somebody else. That's often some other world. So I'm glad we're talking about this because this is available to everyone.
Yeah, oh, it's such an important point to make right off the bat. It's everybody can communicate. And I think that might be the first question that people will ask themselves when they're interested is like, but can I do it? I mean, I know these people, but can I? And the answer is yes.
Yeah. When I got started in this, I didn't have a near-death experience where all of a sudden, like all these angels were around me and protecting me, and I saw them and knew who they were. Um, I know you and I have talked about this a little bit, but one of the things was when I had my, if you want to call it awakening, I thought I was crazy, and it was lying in bed at night and hearing voices, hearing beautiful music, and turning off all the radios and then asking mom and dad and telling them, and of course, my dad going, you've got a radio on somewhere, men, that generation. But it was very definitely something different, not scary, but it did make me wonder. So um, one of the things I realized with that was everyone has this ability. And, it's my belief, we've said before, if you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance. Now, obviously, some of us are better at it than others, but you don't have to have a near-death experience. You don't have to have some supernatural event to communicate with the unseen. After my mom died, that was really the catalyst. I mean, I had my awakening hearing the music and everything, but I probably went to a bunch of psychiatrists and took a cocktail of drugs, so because I must have been crazy, right? And then after mom died, I wanted so badly to communicate with her. I thought, other people can do this. There's got to be a way I can do this. And so I just started researching as much as I could and went, oh, I can go take a class and learn how to do this. And that was really how I got started.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you also that class was I think that was a really inspirational story because we hear people like, oh, I started coming into these gifts, or I took a class and everything started opening up and it was amazing. And we were all saying the same thing. And you're one of the first people I heard say, no, that did not happen at all. I took a class and it really didn't go that well.
It was okay. So you can imagine now, looking back on it, this was totally out of character for me, but the angels did this for a reason, right? I quit my job. And never in my life have I ever quit a job before having another one. And most people don't, right? But I decided to quit my job and go get this certification. And I flew halfway across the country, right? Well, almost across the country. And no job, no safety net. I mean, brilliant, right? And I go in there to this class, and there were 175 people in there walking around. I remember walking in. You're always a little self-conscious when you walk into a class, you don't know anybody. And there are all these people going, oh, I see these auras and they're so beautiful. And I was like, oh, I saw black. And the whole week it was like that. We got paired up with people in the class to do these readings. And I would turn to the person and I'm like, yeah, nothing. Sorry. I'm so sorry. But I couldn't make something up, right? But I was so mad at myself. I was like, you just spent all this money. you left your job, you have death, and you lost your mind in the process. But I was like, well, you've already paid for it, so you're here. So I finished the course, went back, and it was really because my back was against the wall. Sink or swim, do or die situation. I still had a little bit of pride and dignity that I wouldn't go back with my tail between my legs to ask, for my job back. But I thought, let me give it a try. Now, granted, nothing. I was doing readings for a week, nothing. And I finally got home and I had my first client come to my house, and she's sitting there in front of me. And Kate, I like meditated, well, attempted to meditate, okay, because I totally am a loser and sucked at that too. I sat there and tried to meditate for like 30 minutes. And she came in and she sat down, and I closed my eyes and I went, does your husband have a mustache? And she went, well, yeah, he does. And I went, okay, hold on. And I closed my eyes again. And I was like, and that was how I did it. I mean, you ask a question, I closed my eyes and tried to tune in. I give you an answer. We'd celebrate if it was right, or we'd go, no. Yeah, but and it was this huge learning curve. But I didn't give up, right? Because I still wanted to talk to mom. And there was still this certain fascination with this. I mean, you get to a point where you wake up. I mean, I've been going on 2 decades now doing this. And there are days that I still wake up and go, is this really real? Am I really doing this? And it's so funny because my certified readers, I'll ask it, they'll have like a fabulous session and we'll talk about it. And, or even, when I'm teaching them and they have the guest sitter and I'm teaching them, they have a fabulous reading. And I go, so do you ever just question like, holy crap, I'm doing this? And we're like, yes, oh my gosh, and it's true. But it's also so beautiful and it's so amazing because I look out at my neighbors and they come to me and they go, can you please help me with my kid? Or, hey, are you picking up anything on this new love interest and stuff? And it's like, yes, and I want to help you. And let me tell you everything I see. But at the same time, Archangel Michael is standing here going, knock, knock, knock. Courtney, please teach them how to do this. We want that relationship with them too. So anybody can do this. You have a conscious mind, and that's all you need. That and the will, right? And I'd be willing to almost take on a challenge if anybody in your audience said, I want to learn how to do this. I have yet to have a student who could not tune in after working with me. So it really is important. This is bringing that magic down to earth. And I would love to share some tips with you and your audience on how they can do it too.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. I'm excited. But really quickly first, because you're talking about working with people and how, your experience with it, hey, it works for them. But we have to go back to like your experience. Like it didn't come right away. Like I'm talking to Michael. I know I'm talking to Raphael. It was just, I see a mustache. Like you do have to start somewhere. So some of the expectations need to be in place because I think that's where we like drop off sometimes. Like I want to do this and then it doesn't come easily right away. It's like it's not working. So like expectation level, like what do you see how maybe just an example of somebody who was like, maybe it was really hard for them at first, but what that looked like and giving it a little time.
Sure. I remember when I had an office and several practitioners and I worked in this metaphysical center. And one of the other therapist or practitioners and I were talking, and she said, so what's it like whenever you see the angels? And I said, it changes and evolves over time. And this is the part that people don't talk about, that they don't teach. When you're sitting there daydreaming, and maybe you're even setting the intention, I want to talk to my angels. I'd like to hear a message. And Kate, you look out at your wall and there's maybe a little bit of blurred texture in the paint. Or maybe it even looks like a convection, like the water on a highway when it's really hot, right? You see that little bit of a blur. That's it. That's their energy. And that's the beginning of them forming and becoming that energy coming into something that we can accept visually. But no, you're exactly right. I did not start seeing full bodied apparitions. There was no worry in that happening for me. It's kind of funny. So I practiced full time as a career, 8 hours a day, trying to see the angels and understand that each one has a different calling card, right? And we have to understand that this one's different than this one. I found out that Raphael, the angel of healing, his calling card for me, you know how I set up different ringtones for people on our phone? His ringtone, let's say, was me yawning. And I would yawn and I wasn't sleepy, tired, bored, anything like that. And still to this day, when Raphael comes in, if I talk about health or healing or Raphael, inevitably it's coming. I'm trying to hold it back. He comes in to remind us that breath is the essence of life and to expand our lungs, but it makes me yawn. And it's so funny because now I'll tell clients about it and they go, oh my gosh, that was happening to me. It's like, yes. And I remember the first time that I recognized it was Archangel Michael. It wasn't that I could see him with my physical eyes, in my mind's eye, clairvoyantly, none of the above. But I would start doing the reading and I would say, and Archangel Michael, we call in you. And within about 30 seconds, I would feel this pressure on my chest, kind of embarrassing. And I'd be like, I'm having trouble. Like the air pressure got really dense. And for a while, I had to stand up. It was so embarrassing, y'all. Stand up to do my readings. And I go, hold on just a second. Okay, I need to be able to breathe. And then, sit back down and it was okay. But that went on for several months when I started off. So, yeah, the expectations, be easy on yourself. Give yourself some grace because as much as I want them to sit down side by side and go, I'm so and so, I'm so and so, I'm so and so, and I do this, and this is how I come through for you. I would love that, but it's not the way it works. There are different vibrations, different frequencies for the angels. And believe it or not, fairies, they have a different frequency. They're a little bit denser. So you might even find that you recognize or think you see or sense fairies before you do angels. Just because we're acclimating and trying to raise our vibration spiritually, as we do that, we open ourselves up to be able to experience more. So think about fairies being a little bit denser than your archangels and know that it takes time. And not so much it takes time. I don't mean it like that because I remember people saying, oh, it just takes time. And I'd get so distraught and just want to, quit. But if you will give yourself some grace and if you will give yourself, say, okay, this is what I'm going to do for 30 minutes every day. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to practice playing with the angels and get you a notepad, get you a spiral, get you a journal and write down, today I'm going to work with Michael. Michael is the angel who watches over our personal safety, gives us strength, and also watches over our financial security. He's like our bestie. And set the intention to just work with him that day, and you'll notice different changes in yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And when you talk about raising your vibration, we hear about so many different ways to do that. But I think that there is an element of not, again, there giving yourself a little grace. Like you don't have to, raising your vibration just means bringing awareness to things in a way. Like you just becoming very conscious of your day because you can be feeling sad. I think people get tripped up on this. It's like, I'm going through a really rough time in life. I can't raise my vibration. Things are hard. It's like, well, you can be going through that, but just from a standpoint of like, I still believe it's going to be okay. And that's a very high vibration, even though you're feeling like shit.
Right. Yeah. And okay, so a perfect example. There's a girl in our community and the daughter is going through leukemia. And she's, I mean, it's so unfair, right? She's not even kindergarten yet. And so, the mom is in it, right? And I can see it from a higher standpoint, vibrationally, of the spiritual aspects of the lessons, the contracts, what everybody's learning in this, how they're growing, how it's preparing the mom, how it ripples out to the community. But that mom, she is not ready to sit here and try to tune into her angels. And I will tell you, there are times when I'm going through things with my own family, and it is everything I can do to maintain, civility and not just lose it. And no, during those times, I am not actively trying to raise my vibration. But I will tell you this, I try to have it at least once a day where I commune with spirit, source, creator, God, the great I am, architect of the universe, any of those names, where I am with that energy, with the angels, and I keep that my focus, and I try to do that every single day. And if I can just keep that and set that intention, know that that intention is still running in the background, I still want to be open to that. It does not mean that we are going to be saints or that we are going to remember our car keys, or like they just got on to me this morning because I was like, where is this? Where are your shoes? Getting ready to walk out the door from school. And we're looking everywhere. And my oldest says, Mom, why don't you just tune in? And it's like, oh my gosh. So you for that kind of help and stuff. So yeah, it's not that we're actively, okay, I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes every day, and that's going to raise my vibration, 6 points. No, there are days that, doggone it, we're just human, just trying to get through. So very definitely give yourself some grace and ease, and be gentle on yourself, especially with so much of the things that are going on in the world right now.
Yeah. You mentioned the different vibrational signatures of the different angels that you work with. And one thing I think that is important to make note of is that you can say, here are some qualities of them. It's a starting point to help you kind of come up with your own, because we each have a different relationship with a person, right? As humans, we don't expect that we have the exact same experience with a single person. We know that we all have different relationships. We have relationships with these guides. And so that would be a little different for each of us, right?
For sure. And not everyone is the same. I will tell you that. When I started seeing Saint Germain, who is one who I consider as an ascended master, right? Not necessarily an angel, not necessarily a guide, but is a guide to some. So I just put him in that grouping of, and the terms angels and guides I'll use interchangeably. There is a difference if you want to get technical, and the ascended masters as well. But I remember having some of my first encounters with Saint Germain, and when he came through the first time, it was like a little purple ball, and I was like, oh, okay. And then it grew. My abilities evolved. I was now used to seeing that purple ball. So then I started seeing like a man's face. Know that some of this was in my mind's eye, not necessarily he was appearing like a ghost or a hologram before me. Okay, so let me just be clear
Mhm.
with that. And then here a couple of weeks ago, I tuned in with another healer, and I was like, is this a DNA strand? And I couldn't quite make out what it was. And I was like, and there's this guide over here for you. Totally different than I'd ever seen him. He was wearing, okay, so think like Merlin, okay? Like this wizard hat and almost like a cape. And I looked at him and I'm like, who are you? I've worked with him before. I could not tell you his name. And as he was saying it, I could almost see the letters come up. S-A. I couldn't see the I, but it felt like a long A sound. And I was like, is this is this Germain? And the client went, how did he show up to you? And I said, like a Merlin. He goes, yeah, wizard. He's been doing that to me lately too. And I went, that wasn't a DNA strand they were showing me. That's his violet flame. So Even though I've been working with them, it will grow, it will progress, it will evolve. And like one of my certified readers, she sees Archangel Michael completely differently than I do. She will still see him with the wings. And I see him in like his armor. What's funny is right before COVID, Michael changed his appearance to me and came through in the armor. And I was like, whoa, what, can you talk to me? Can you tell me what's going on? I mean, you look like you're ready for battle. And in a way was, right? Um, but it will change, and it may start off as, just a little convection. And then you might see the flicker in the corner of your eye, or you catch a shadow, or sparkles, or just going, huh, the light reflecting is putting off this greenish tint over here. Wonder what that could be, because I'm sitting here worried about health, right? And that's Raphael's calling card. So yeah, know that it progresses, it evolves, and we have to be willing to be open to it. We can't just pigeonhole them and say, okay, you can only come through this way, right? We've got to be willing to open up and say, okay, I'm going to allow it. Show me, are you having a good hair day or not? And know that they have that too.
And everything you're talking about is very visual. But I think it's important that you brought up the mind's eye, because I don't know that people always understand what that means. I think that sometimes they think it's still very visual, as in like, okay, but it's as if I can see it in my mind. Well, that's really connected to your imagination. So it's more a matter of like what jumps into your head. People
Yeah.
can connect to that. It's like, oh yeah, I can have like and maybe it's not the image itself, but it's like the knowing of it. It's like armor. I'm just getting armor. It's like, does that mean you're seeing armor? No, not necessarily. It just popped in my head, armor.
Yes. Okay. So if you have ever been accused of being a know-it-all, and maybe you don't even know how you know it, that's what we call the claircognizance, that knowing. And I want you to understand, I was not clairvoyant ever, ever, ever. The clear seeing, it was through, believe it or not, mantras and affirmations of saying, I am profoundly clairvoyant, like 15 times a day, that really had it come on. But like auras, I could not see auras. I was in a class that said if you have a black light on your desk for 90 hours, you'll be able to see auras. Okay, that is not true. Did not work for me. When I was teaching my class on this, one of the things I said is, you can go against the wall, we can see the energy. We did that exercise, but also look at somebody, look at them. Now close your eyes, look away, see them, imagine them back in your mind. That's your mind's eye, right?
hmm
And if you even think about what you saw in your mind's eye, you can look up and with your eyes open and think about that again, or your favorite scene from a movie. That's your clairvoyance. That's you being able to see it projected, and we'll get technical on this, from your third eye, projected out here to where you're seeing it with your physical eyes as well as your mind's eye at the same time. And that's called the clairvoyance, right? But understand that closing your eyes and seeing what's on that little movie screen, that you can consider your mind's eye. And that was where I got so much more clarity on what I was seeing. But what I also noticed was the other clairs, the feeling, the sensing, the knowing, that comes in and supports it. So even before I was clairvoyant, we've all had someone who we went, ooh, I don't think I want to be around that person. That's your sensing, your clairsentience. That's that gut feeling, right? Oh, that's bad juju. Let's not go there, right? So just like when you eat something, you look at a nacho, you can smell it, you can touch it. As it comes into your mouth, you are tasting it, everything, seeing it. You've got all of your senses working, and you're just experiencing this wonderful nacho that's making me hungry now. So when you are tuning in and communicating with your angels, they're not going to do just one thing. And most likely, your experience is not just going to be one-sided. It's not just going to be, oh, I saw this. Because with that, you also get a sense of what is that emotion they're conveying, how kind of like we do with people. Oh, how are you feeling today, right? You get a sense of what's going on, what that message is. You get a knowing, you get a feeling. Sometimes we can even hear it in our mind. And yeah, the imagination. How else is God going to convey stuff to us, right? We have to use our imagination. The difference is, are we creating it in our mind and it's coming from us?
Hmm.
Or are we receiving it in our mind? And that's your benchmark. That's your litmus test, is being able to say, coming from me or coming to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you want to like practice the seeing, it's like practice seeing something in your mind's eye. It's like recognize the you know the gift coming through is like it's just a knowing, but I'm going to make it look like something. So I can kind of make that connection because it's sort of like training yourself to see. And with the understanding, full consciousness, I am kind of creating this picture in my mind, but I'm practicing what it's like to see something.
Yeah. I teach my students when we go through who the archangels are, if you get a color in your mind's eye, or if you get a feeling or sensation in your body, write it down and let that be what it is, what your sign is for them. But know that it can change. And like some of my students, they go, I still didn't get anything for this one. Okay, great. Then we're going to make an agreement with the angel and we're going to say, hey, Archangel Jophiel, you are the angel of beauty. You are the angel that's going to help me find something to wear in my closet when there is a closet full of nothing to wear. So with her, we're going to have, something beautiful come in. One of my readers, she said that she puts a big, like a pink hibiscus, almost like the emoji on your phone. She says, I said, okay, that's going to be yours for right now. That way I know it's you. Another one of mine has like the artist palette, color palette and a little paintbrush. And she said, that's my symbol. And it's whatever works for you. Because once you can say, okay, this is it, then your angels can come to that. They know, okay, this is it, right? This is our calling card. This is what we're doing. And then as you become more comfortable enough with that and aware of that, and you're allowing it to grow and evolve, then it gets more personal, right?
Mhm.
The angel numbers, right? Who has not seen 1111 on the clock or 444 on
Right.
the clock? Know that, yes, that is a clairvoyant, a visual way they are communicating with you. Billboards, bumper stickers, license plates. Sure, all of those things are your clairvoyant. They are showing you something and you are seeing it. It is not a coincidence that an article pops up on something you were questioning the other day, right? Or, we hear songs on the radio and we go, I think that's a message for me. Yes. If you have just an inkling that it may be a message for you, most of the time it is. That's their way of communicating with you. So acknowledging it is huge and saying, yes, I'm ready for more of that. Let's keep going. And it's just going to make it keep happening more.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is one of the best ways to really open all these clairs is to be really conscious of your everyday life. I mean, the like you hear a song on the radio, there's your clairaudience. No, it doesn't have to be like something in your head. It can be something out in the world. It's you're getting the nudge to pay attention. You're getting the nudge to turn the radio channel.
For
Excuse me.
sure. And it doesn't have to be a big booming voice outside your head, right? And when you allow that and you say, okay, I get it, I want more, then you can start asking those questions. Hey, is this the best path for me? Is this the way I want to go? And start asking. And I would like to encourage the audience, start off by asking yes or no questions. It's just easier on you. And that way you're not looking for some long explanation, because your angels aren't going to say, don't do this because of this and this and this. That's going to be your ego. Don't do this, because last time you did that, ego. Take the umbrella. It looks like rain. That's your logic. So it's simple statements in the positive tense, present tense statements. They never tell you to do anything bad. And when you are open to it and you acknowledge it, that's going to increase it.
Hmm. And of course, all these clairs are really foundational. Like they're just sort of like it's the way we do things. Like, because the gift itself isn't like clairvoyant. Like that's sort of like I would call it a foundational gift. The gift is the communication with the angel. So we can like really hyper focus on the like the how and be like, I want to bring that in. It's like, well, don't lose sight of like what you're actually doing, which is communicating with angels. Be open to all the ways that you do that. Might not necessarily have to be seeing right now, but realizing that that will open up if you really wanted to eventually in its own way, not forcing it.
Right. We I was just working with some students in a class, and it was on communicating with friends and family on the other side. And some of them were scared that they were going to be, lights were going to start flickering and full-bodied apparitions at the foot of their bed. And they told them, no, we're doing this in a safe way. You have control over this. You are putting up the boundaries and the parameters. And once we got through that, they felt pretty good. So know that you can say, hey, I don't want to deal with anything bad juju. I'm only talking with, grandma and angels, and go ahead and state that for yourself so you feel comfortable and you feel safe, because they don't want to scare you. But setting the intention, we sat there for 2 or 3 minutes and I led them through the process of just opening up and feeling what's around you and setting the intention of, hey, can I talk to Uncle Joe on the other side? Or can I communicate with Michael? And just opening up to whatever they feel. Notice how you feel before, and then after you feel what you feel in that experience. Because it could be something as, oh, my head started tingling or my palms got warm, right? And know that it's still there. And you don't have to go back and go, I only want palms to tingle, right? It's what you were saying, Kate, about leaving it open and going, we're still getting the message, right? We still want to see the big picture of that and not micromanage ourselves and get so granular on, am I doing this right?
Right. Well, you brought up boundaries. That's something that you teach. I like the way you call it the rules of engagement. So you can kind of create your own rules for how this happens for you.
Yeah. I have told Archangel Michael, if I forget to ask for the best parking spot whenever we go to the store, let that be in my rules that it's automatically done. And let it be in my rules that if I'm asking a question, that I'm already set to ask straight to the highest. I'm going up to my guides, to my angels, spirit, and that's where I'm receiving my messages. And just by stating that out loud, I have my students write it down, the rules of engagement, the who, what, when, where, why, how, of who they're communicating with. And you can say, I don't want to know anything on this. I had a client ask me, she said, okay, if I'm going to die tomorrow, just don't tell me. I promise you, I have never been told that. I have not gotten a message that something catastrophic was going to happen to somebody the next day. The closest thing I've gotten was the angels said they wanted this client to be very aware and alert when she was driving, that it was like her sunglasses or something were getting her distracted. And they said, we need you to be alert on this. So just knowing those things ahead of time can change the energy. They didn't show me that she was going to have a car wreck. Obviously, there was some free will that played into that. So it's really interesting. They're not coming through to tell you doom and gloom. They're not here to judge or criticize and tell you you've done something wrong or you're a horrible mother. No, they really want to help you with your life. So when you say, okay, here are my boundaries, I want to be able to turn it on and turn it off. Great. That puts you in the driver's seat on this. And I only want to communicate with these angels of the highest light. Even better. Now, for a lot of kids who have the gift of being able to see things without even practicing it, just, I go, man, so unfair, right? But it'll get distracting for them in school. And so I have to teach them, okay, tell your angels they can be around you and they can help you and they can even give you messages But when they are visible to you and becoming a distraction in class, then we need to talk to the angels and say, okay, I can't have you distracting me during class, right? And putting up
Mhm.
those boundaries. I told them, please don't wake me up in the middle of the night. Don't wake up my kids. I don't want anything scared. They never have. But if there is a message I am not getting during the day, right? If I keep dismissing it, Archangel Michael will wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and he will have me awake. And a lot of times he'll make me reach over and get my notepad and start writing things down, or get my phone and start emailing and making myself a list of stuff. But they want that communication with each and every one of us. They really want that personal relationship. So just by inviting them in is going to open up doors for you.
Yeah. You said something that kind of reminded me of something else you said earlier about knowing whether it's your angels coming in or if it's just like your ego speaking. One way you gave one way to know that. Something you said just now is like kind of another way. If you're getting something really judgmental, then that can't be from them because they have unconditional love. They don't judge anything.
They do not judge anything. And the example I use is, um, let's say you stole somebody's pen in third grade. Okay. They don't look at you and go, thief. No, they go, oh, you knew pink was your mom's favorite color and you saw that on that pen and you took that pen to give to your mom. They see the love, right? They don't see you, you know, trying to make your kids have a bad day by rushing them out the door. They see the love of you wanting to be responsible and giving your kids the best head start and get them to school on time, even if it means we're rushing out the door, right? No, that's all they see is the love. They see your love and what you're trying to do. So, yeah, very definitely if something comes through harsh, degrading, demeaning, that guilt and shame are the two lowest vibrations. And that's not your angels. That's you.
Mhm. So we keep talking about angels, but you've also brought in ascended masters. You mentioned Saint Germain. So you don't really just work with angels. Who else are you communicating with?
Hey, it is so cool. So here recently, I'm assuming that I have evolved to a higher level or a higher vibration now. And I'm starting to get the only name I can come up with for them are sentient beings, right? They are somewhat formless, shapeless. They come through in colors right now. Um, they are kind of everywhere. Now, when I first saw them, I got the feeling that they were very definitely teaching but teaching everybody. And I was like, wow, are you an angel? And there was almost a giggle, like a sense of, you know, no, that's sweet to call us that, but we're not angels. And if I were to have to give them a name, I say, no, you're an angel, right? I can see you. You kind of have an angelic shape. You don't have necessarily the wings with feathers like I have seen on occasion, but they are very definitely a higher vibration and even more prevalent, which I didn't think was possible, than the angels. So we can call them angels. We can call them sentient beings. Um, our guides are people who have actually walked the earth. So Einstein can be a guide. Abraham Lincoln is one of my clients' guides. Really neat. Those people have walked the earth. And so we can communicate with them. Our angels haven't walked the earth except for two of the archangels, Metatron and Sandalphon. So they definitely don't understand judgment or criticism. But going up to a little bit higher vibration than that are these sentient beings. And I may be speaking out of pocket here, but I really do feel like they are interdimensional, otherworldly. Um, I don't feel like they are just for humans. I do feel like they help people who are considered star seeds or maybe feel like Earth isn't their home, like maybe they're part ET. So I love it because they're all very, very loving. They're playful. Um, But I've noticed that a lot of times they are the ones who give us these ideas. When I tune into it, it's not necessarily Michael bringing forth that message from God, but these little sentient beings that bring forth this message, this idea. And I'm like, oh, that came from you. So it's really, really cool as I'm evolving and expanding and opening up and seeing this and experiencing this, to know that there's so much there right beyond the veil. And it's not out of reach. It's here where you are. And it's allowing yourself to open up and say, okay, I'm ready to see. Now, I will say this. There was one time that I said, okay, I was at a class and I said, I want to see everybody's angels. And it did. And it was overstimulating and overwhelming. And I went, okay, stop, stop, stop. Know that they're not going to do that to you, but being open to knowing it's right here. They're next to you. They're in front of you. They're around you. They're part of those messages that we get during the day.
I want to make sure that we let people know more about what you do. I mean, we talked about what you do on a basic level, but we keep mentioning like classes and your readers. And so starting with like your entry level person, like what are the things that you are bringing into the world? And I mean, really incredible products.
Thank you. Um, Classes. If you want to increase your intuition, take a class. Think of spirituality as a buffet. This is what Archangel Michael told me. It's a buffet. Whatever looks good, go take a bite of it. If you like it, go get some more. If you don't, it's okay. Go on to something else. So take a class on increasing your intuition. I have a ton. You can always email and say, hey, does Courtney have anything coming up? Because really and truly, necessity. When I get clients that say, hey, will you teach more on this? Yes, I'll do a class. So I love hearing, ideas and what you want a class on, I'll do it. Those who are intermediate, we can, or the beginning, know that we'll even start with what are chakras, what's an aura, okay? We'll even talk about that. The intermediate, the advanced, I have a course that's 10 modules, Angel School. It is the foundation for all of my certified readers. It teaches you everything you need to know about how to do a reading for yourself, for others, setting your parameters, the rules of engagement. It goes through all of your extrasensory perceptions, the clairs, meditations and everything that. Then if you've got somebody who says, okay, you know what? I want to do this. I want to do this because I'm a teacher and I want to know which kid is lying. I actually have a client doing that. Or I want to learn how to do this because I don't understand what's going on and I want to know more. Sure. Or if you say, hey, I think that'd be kind of cool to be a reader. Great. I've got a certification program, very aptly named Heaven on Earth. Because if you're communicating with your angels and guides all day, how is that not heaven on earth? And so that's available too. With these students, there's tons of things they can learn. But what about the people who, maybe don't have time to do this for themselves, but they need that guidance. And they need that wisdom from the highest. That's where I have mentoring. It is by application. I do protect my energy on that. But what we found is, especially people in business, they are too focused on this right here. They're not looking through the veil. They're not trying to open up to that, but they need that guidance on how do we deal with morale in the workplace? How do I know if somebody's stealing from me? I have this wonderful woman and she said, okay, I need it for my business, but hold on. I need to talk about my personal life. Yeah, who doesn't? So I'm happy to report she is now happily engaged. They just bought their dream home and she's never been happier. So know that in the mentoring, the guidance from the angels, it's not just where's my lost bracelet, but they really want to help you get back on track. And with the mentoring program, there is a lot of healing that comes in, a lot of clearing of the invisible, the energetic blocks we can't see, things from other lifetimes that are preventing us. And so we really get all of those blocks out of the way with the mentoring. So yes, no matter what level, what your interests are, we can help you.
Well, and just one other thing about the certification program you do, you take it a little bit of a step further than most. Like you actually help you don't just send people out in the world. It's like you got your skills, go get start a business. You actually help people with that.
Yeah. Um, I've got a group of readers right now who, once they finish the certification, they can apply to be on my website. And so with that, they don't have to worry about the technical aspect. I do the advertising. I have the virtual assistant. I have the calendar. They get their own Zoom number. And all of that is taken care of. With those who say, no, I want to go off and do it on my own. Perfect. We're going to tell you, here's how you do a website. And it doesn't have to be 15 pages. It could be a one-page website. Here's the calendar we use. Here's how to link it. Here's how to do this and this. Here's where to advertise. Here's how to get more clients. Here's how to set up your background. All of those things, really teaching you how to take it to a business level, if that's what you want to do, to really get it out there. Because that's the thing Michael said. He said, you've certified people, but they're not doing anything with it. And we need them to spread the word, spread the light, and get in touch with other people. So that's what I've been tasked to do. And so, yeah, setting people up for their own business and their own success, definitely.
And in bringing in these gifts, I mean, this might be just something I'm saying. I don't know if you want to speak to it, but I was really getting the sense of it's like we talk about the spiritual gifts as the gift. Like, oh, I want to be able to be more intuitive. I want to do readings. This is my gift. But in doing that, you gain like lifestyle, like quality of life gifts. Your life changes.
And it's huge, Kate. It's huge. There is a peace and a calm that comes in that I can't explain. You know, not just you say everything's going to be okay, you know, everything's going to be okay. One of my readers had such issues with family members, and we've all, you know, we've been there. We've got blended families and step kids and step parents, and it was such a hostile environment, right? And she said, being able to communicate with the angels and just learning about this, she said, I see things from a different perspective. She said, not only do you get the gift of, of prophecy, but you get the gift of healing. You get the gift of faith, of even teaching, of compassion, which is huge because then you have the gift of understanding everybody's going through their own journey, their own path, their own pace, their own race. And it really makes you a much more patient, kinder person. Um, I was not born with patience, but it is something that has been given to me, and that understanding without losing my edge. So I will tell you, it doesn't make me complacent. I still grind. I'm still, you know, working 12 and 15-hour days, right? If I want to do that, I can still do that. But I also still have wonderful time with my family because there is a calm in knowing what's on the other side of this turmoil or this problem or what I think could be, you know, oh, the sky is falling, right? And being able to go, okay, hold on, let's ask the angels and get the messages and have that relief.
Yeah. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. This was, as always, I love talking to you. It was a really fun conversation. And yeah, and it gave me more new things to think about. I love that. When I walk away from an interview, I was like, okay, I got more stuff. Um, but to just, if you wouldn't mind, just to end things, is there anything that the angels would like to share with us?
Yes, yes. And it's one of the reasons they had me make a free class for everybody listening. So your entire
Oh,
audience is invited. I've got a free increasing your intuition class coming up in December. The links will be, Kate will provide the links to that. And some other free gifts about how you can communicate with your angels. And even if those of you who still have those pressing questions that just can't wait, I'm making myself available at a discounted rate for a limited number of spots for you to ask those questions with me, and you'll get a reading with me. And that's what your angels want you to know is look up. You may start seeing messages in clouds. you may start seeing hearts in clouds, and they want you to know that they're supporting you. But also for people who are getting caught up with what's going on in the 3D, the human aspect of life right now, they're asking that you really take a deep breath and take a step back to really give yourself a little bit of distance from it. And I'm not saying be ignorant, bury your head in the sand, but we don't have to be in that stream of consciousness of fear and chaos. That if we give ourselves permission to take a step back, we can be the observer. And that's really what they're wanting you to see, is we can observe, and then we can make our decisions and ask the angels for guidance on that. And you can even say, angels, if this is the right path, or if I need to consider listening to this person or this person, show me a sign. If this person is the way to go, show me 11:11 on the clock, or let me turn on the radio and hear a code word and a song. But know that it's time for us to step up and above, outside the pettiness, the prejudice, the distrust and paranoia, and go up higher. See things the way the angels see it from a higher perspective, and see ourselves that way as well.